Hello and welcome back to Time Under Tension. I'm your host, Olivia Gravengard, registered nurse, certified health coach, and professional bodybuilder, whose primary passion is to help others achieve their health and fitness goals through collaboration with their bodies, through really learning what works well for them so they can optimize their life to live the healthy lifestyle as defined by their personal goals. That ties in well to our topic today, holiday nutrition. So, as we talked about over the past couple of weeks, we all like a fresh start. We like a Monday. We like a new year. We like that milestone start that allows us to start fresh and really commit to our goals at the front end of some kind of chapter. That can make the end of the year a little bit more difficult. But on top of just that mental concept, the holidays are times that are full of food and festivities that can make it really difficult to feel like you can fully commit to your nutrition plan or even a way of eating or even mindfulness around nutrition. On top of food being available that is really high in sugar, super palatable, there's also the cultural shaping of these holidays to be very food centric. And depending on your culture, I know I come from like a Southern culture where food is love and food is very much a central part of the bonding experience of holidays. It can make it really difficult to stay committed to your goals. And for most of us, the dissonance of not being committed is so much that we would rather not commit until we have more of an opportunity to do so without so many of the temptations. And I hear that. And I think that it's valid to say, okay, after the holidays, I'm really going to clean it up. I'm all about a New Year's start. I love that. But I also think that the times that are most challenging present some of the greatest opportunities for growth and for building out your toolbox, developing your skills in order to handle situations in which it may not be the easiest to honor your health and fitness goals. During the holidays, it's a time of high stress as well, even though it can be a positive stress, being around family, traveling, the financial strain can all feel like a bit of a burden at times, and it can leave us feeling a little unsettled, and that's where the food can become more of a challenge as well. Because if you're surrounded by all of these highly palatable foods, there's kind of this expectation and acceptance around taking them in. And then we throw in a layer of kind of stress and maybe anxiety on top of that. Now we have something that we can turn to cope. So the opportunities here lie in, I would say, moderation. How can you show up and engage and be involved while also showing up for yourself and continuing to nurture yourself? How can you also tap into some of your more positive coping mechanisms so that the holiday food doesn't become the way that you're coping with stress of the holidays? Why do this now? Why not just wait? It's like 2 weeks until the new year, right? Again, because to be able to go into holidays with just a confidence of knowing that you know how to navigate those situations, that you can trust yourself in those situations that might be a little bit more tempting or might threaten our sense of groundedness, to make a commitment to yourself as to what it means to you to be healthy, understanding that there may be a very particular kind of commitment in a time like this that may differ slightly from what it looks like on a normal week to week basis. There's something in all of that about making a commitment to yourself and maintaining that commitment that really rapidly grows your confidence, your belief in your capabilities, and your competence, your ability to stick to what you say and to persevere through challenges and obstacles that may come up. And when we do this, we really bolster our relationship with self. So, to make a commitment to yourself and keep it is one of the most proven ways of improving your confidence and developing a healthier relationship with yourself. So to do that in the midst of a time that tends to somewhat threaten that, where a lot of us start to get a little bit anxious about how we're going to handle nutrition, we may just kind of close our eyes and brush it off until the new year. We may overstress and kind of hyper fixate on what we can and can't have during this time. We detach ourselves from our bodies. We detach ourselves from our commitments because there's so much fear and worry and doubt in the way, and then throw the anxiety or just the overwhelm of the actual holidays on top of it. And it's a tough situation. It really leads to needing and wanting a reset at the new year, which again, I think is a valuable thing. And I think it's a great time to take advantage of that fresh start. But if you go into the holidays with a different mindset, a mindset of, let me establish what balance is going to look like for me during this time, it gives you an opportunity to continue showing up for yourself during a time where a lot of us tend to just kind of get lost in it all and maybe just prioritize showing up for other people. And now we have instead a personal mission that we can attune our focus to throughout this season of typically letting go of what's important to us and just kind of brushing it off until we can come back to it. Now, this is a balance because depending on your goals, if you're, say, in prep for a bodybuilding competition, then maybe packing your meals in Tupperware is just how it goes. That happens sometimes. We can argue all day long as to whether or not that's healthy, but it's just the reality. It's the necessary step for you to be in alignment with your goals. And that level of rigidity is necessary if your goals are something as specific as a show. But if your goals are more vague and lifestyle focused, like I want to feel healthy, one, I'd say devagify your goals, like get really clear on what that means to you. For me, being healthy means I want to have high energy levels, I want to have clear focus throughout the day, I want to sleep well, I want to feel like a sense of temperance mentally. I don't want to feel dependent on any kind of substance. And I want to have like mobility, strength, flexibility, and ideally a pain-free body. So those are kind of the things that define health for me. So when you have a clear definition, that then becomes your filter through which you make decisions. You say, okay, if this is what it means for me to be healthy, then I'm going to probably stay away from or limit the things that take away from my energy instead of help fuel my energy, or the things that compromise my digestion instead of collaborate with my digestion. So now that I have a clear definition, that becomes my filter. Now, where does balance come in here? Because that kind of definition can also lead to a sense of rigidity. Like, okay, well, on a week to week basis, that might mean that I eat plant-based and I eat 160 grams of protein a day and I only eat 4 meals and I have less than 50 grams of sugar. Like, those may be rigid guidelines in terms of your diet. And you might be able to adhere to those on average throughout the year. But during a time like this, I think it's really important to understand that the goal may need an adjustment during this time, but there should still be a goal because without one, we just tend to default to what's easiest, what's most convenient. And if we have stress kind of affecting our system, a lot of times we're going to turn to food um, for a sense of groundedness. We're going to turn to it as a way to cope. So you need to get clear about what it would look like for you to approach the day in a healthy way based on your definition of health. So for me, when it comes to like holiday treats and things, I don't try anything that I don't really want. So that sounds obvious, but it's not always because if you've come from a place of strictness or even a feeling of deprivation to some degree, if you've been dieting, then putting yourself in situations where there's a lot of highly palatable foods and high sugar foods, just being able to have it is going to make you take the opportunity, even if it's something you don't really want. So I want you to really ask yourself, do I actually want this? And if you do, I would encourage you to try a bite rule. So I allow myself to have a bite of anything that I want, except things I'm allergic to. Please honor your body and do not put yourself in situations where you're taking things in that you know are just generally not working for your body. I.e., if you're extremely lactose intolerant, please do not go chug milk, eggnog. Get some almond milk eggnog. Like take care of your body. There's some things that are really important. And if you're unwilling to adhere to that, get some lactate. Like try to support your body. Get some digestive enzymes. Like make sure that you're really honoring yourself because there is a point where that can get a little dicey in terms of like compromising what's actually healthy for you, period. But I allow myself a bite. Oh, that looks great. Someone made this amazing whatever. I'm trying to think of something holiday related that's delicious. We'll just stick with eggnog. Someone made eggnog, amazing. I might have a sip of it and be like, oh, that's so good. And then I can ask myself, do I actually like, do I want more of this? And sometimes it's a yes, like, yeah, pour me a glass. Sometimes it's like, oh, no, that was really good. I actually really enjoyed that. It's kind of the equivalent of getting like a box of chocolates. Not to Forrest Gump you right now, but thinking about like all the little like truffles and different flavors and things that are in a box of assorted chocolates. You just get like a bite, but like that's plenty because it's like, oh, this is rich and the nuts are crunchy and the caramel is oozing and it's an experience. And when we just have a bite of something, there's that opportunity to have an experience moment like that where we can really savor and enjoy. And then we can ask ourselves, is this something that I want more of without it becoming like mindless, just grab, grab, eat, eat, even though you might not necessarily want to do that. So for me, the bite rule works really well. It helps me um, stay away from a feeling of deprivation or like rigid restriction. And it also allows me to tap into my preferences. Do I want this? Not really, but I'm glad that I tried it. Or not really, and it's pretty gross, and now I know that I don't like that. Or heck yeah, this is awesome, and I would love to get a serving of this and go sit down and enjoy it. And I think that's a third piece to kind of tie in here is you could not want it, you could have a bite and really enjoy it, or if you really want something, make it intentional. Sit and have it and savor it. Don't stand up with a plate and you're grazing and the TV's on and you're talking to 20 people. Like those kind of situations are where we get very mindless and we become so disconnected from our bodies that we don't really understand what we're putting in them. We're not connected with our hunger and fullness cues, and we tend to kind of overeat and avalanche in that situation. So getting really intentional, especially with the foods you know can become easily things that you overeat. So for me, that's going to be the sweets, making sure that I'm really intentional about slowing down, making an experience, limiting distractions. And if I am, say, standing and talking to someone, I might just pause and eat more slowly, chew slowly. Tapping into your chewing is one of the most powerful tools for being able to slow yourself down and to reconnect with your hunger signals, on top of it being incredibly important for digestion. So, I think that's a great tool if you're in a situation where there naturally are a lot of distractions around and you don't have the opportunity to really just sit and savor and enjoy your food. Now, the rigidity is a challenge. And, I think some people feel like it's a very all or nothing. I would rather just not have any of this stuff. Maybe I don't even want to try a bite. And I think it's important to get really real with yourself and be objective about what's driving those feelings. Is that true? Like, honestly, I would just really rather have such and such. Or is it like a fear? Well, I'm not really sure. If I let myself have that, I might go overboard. And so I'm just not even going to let myself go there. You have to use discernment, and everyone is connected to their body in a way that no one else can truly dictate. But I think it's important that if you feel a sense of fear or worry, that you recognize that there's a lack of self-trust there and that these opportunities are presenting you with the chance to develop self-trust through saying, okay, I set an intention, overarching intention for what it means for me to be healthy. Cool. That's pretty easy day to day. Or I've kind of got that on lockdown, or I'm working on that and I kind of am finding my routine. Now you're going into a day that's different than normal. You have family events, you're going to two different Christmases, you're traveling, you don't have your normal food. There's going to be a lot of sugar, you're going to be up late, there may be alcohol, like all of those things, right? You need to set intentions. You need to set an intention at the start of the day. Hey, for me, this is my non-negotiable. Today I am going to go get in a walk at this time before all the festivities happen. So lock in your movement goal. And then when it comes to nutrition, adopt a tool. Say, I'm going to, as often as I can, slow myself down and focus on my chewing. I'm going to try the one bite rule and see how I feel, and then make mindful decisions about what I really actually want to eat. And I'm going to say eat until I'm 80% full, for example. Or I'm going to have one plate and then wait 30 minutes before I have additional food. So having some guidelines like that, it gives you boundaries. And when we give ourselves boundaries, we have a safe realm in which to operate that allows us to move around, but it gives us a clear guidelines as to where we're when we're drifting too far. And then that gives us an indication to pull ourselves back in and kind of recommit to our initial intention. This is not about getting rigid. It's not. I think it's really important to connect with people over food. We've been doing that since the beginning of human time. That's part of our bonding experience. And for a lot of us, there's a lot of joy in the holiday treats and the eggnog and having a drink with family. Like those things can be positive. And I think it's important to allow them to be part of your life so that there isn't this sense of fear. You need to be able to walk into these situations without feeling fear because there's such a rooted sense of self-trust that you know how to show up for yourself, that you know how to eat in moderation, that you know how to honor your body, that you know how to say no when you don't want something, and that you feel confident in operating within your personal boundaries and commitments. The only way to develop that self-trust is to go into the situation and see what works and see what doesn't. We gotta learn. And you could say learning the hard way, learning through failing, failing forward. Maybe so. But until you put yourself in that situation and really allow yourself to operate there, you're not going to develop the skills or the relationship with yourself necessary to be able to navigate these situations in a healthy way. This is about getting to enjoy more. It's about getting out of your head and just focusing on being present with people. But in order to be truly present, you have to honor your body because when we start to just sedate ourselves with excess sugar and a heck ton of alcohol and we're just constantly eating all day long, we end up with these huge blood sugar swings and crashes and inflammation and digestion's compromised, and then we sleep poorly. And there's no way we're showing up as our best self when all of those things are happening. So the goal here is not to become rigid and to adopt a set of rules. Instead, it's to give yourself healthy guidelines so that you can continue showing up as your best self and that you can make it through the holidays with endurance and to truly engage and feel focused on what's going on so you're not distracted by the fear and worry about these temptations and deviations and not trusting yourself to be able to navigate it. One last thing, it takes about 20 minutes to really recognize that you're full. So, going back to slowing down, chewing, slow yourself down. When we're stressed, when there's a lot going on, when there's a lot of people, and when there's some personalities that are typically like kind of fast and they're big and they are loud, it can make us move a little faster. Focus on slowing yourself down. If you can slow yourself down, you'll be able to more easily realign with your intentions, reconnect with your body, tap into your hunger fullness cues, and then allow that to continue shaping the way that you are approaching food. I highly recommend adopting some kind of journaling practice to set your intentions, to set your goals for the day, to write out your tools that you'll tap into later in the day, and maybe even have a strategy for stress relief. Like if I'm feeling stressed, typically I would sit there and eat puppy chow for an hour and then feel awful, but at least it kind of gave me something to do, right? Or you say, if I'm feeling stressed, instead of doing that, I'm going to go outside for 5 minutes, sit on the porch, and breathe and just box breathe. And having little tools like that, where it's an easy 5 minute commitment, where you can easily step aside, there's always 5 minutes you can take to yourself, even if you have to go sit in the bathroom. Come back to yourself, return to your intention, remember that you are capable, remember the boundaries in which you committed to operate, and then reconnect. I hope you guys have happy holidays. There's a lot of mixed feelings around this time. There's joy, there's connection, there's love, there's also overwhelm, and there's grief, and there's sadness. There's the acute recognition and sometimes the pang of knowing that someone that you love is not there with you to celebrate this. So I want to honor your feelings during this time and encourage you to give yourself grace as you navigate self-care during a time that is so busy and so emotion laden. And also trust yourself and get excited for the opportunity to continue showing up for yourself, perhaps during a time where you don't usually do so. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Happy holidays. Be safe. If you're traveling, do so mindfully. Take care of your bodies, and I will catch you next time on Time Under Tension.